Hey friends, nope, you are not mistaken. You are on the same channel. It's just I'm branching out. We are doing new stuff. I have a lot of people who ask me to teach them crochet. I can't knit. I'm just not coordinated in knit. But I'm going to show you how to crochet. This one is the skein of yarn is Red Heart with Love. When I first started, I always used this Super Saver, but personally, I think the Super Saver is a little rougher. It tends to be scratchier. This one, not so much. And then you'll always find the color, usually by the barcode. This color is called Hollyberry. And then you have the weight. And then this is the recommendation for the crochet hook, and this is the one for the knitting. I'm gonna be honest, I usually don't go by that, but what I do go by is if the crochet hook I'm using doesn't make it look weird, because the smaller the hook you use, the tighter your stitches are going to be. The bigger the hook you're going to use, they're going to be looser. So if you use a smaller yarn, this is a smaller one. It's not like a dishcloth one, like it's a medium. I usually always use a medium. I do like working with the blanket yarns. They're bigger, they're easier to work with, especially if you have carpal tunnel or arthritis. It's just easier to work with the bigger yarns with a bigger hook. The smaller your hook, you know, your hand might cramp up if you have those issues. I think that's the reason why I don't really use H hooks anymore. But this one is a J hook, and see if it'll focus. It's a 5.75 millimeter. In some countries, they just go by the millimeter, and in some tutorials, they only tell you what millimeter hook they used instead of going by the letter, which is what the US uses. Maybe some other countries, but I don't know that for sure. So this is just some extra yarn I had laying around. So this is what I'm using. Honestly, I was going to use my white yarn, but then I saw it working on the white desk, and that just was not happening. So I've already pulled some yarn out. You see how one end has the tail hanging out, where this side doesn't. It has it actually wrapped into. You do not want to pull from this one. Just don't. I mean, you can make it work, but it's going to be frustrating. Just don't pull from that. You pull from the end. Usually it's hanging out and you'll see it and you'll be able to pull it. But sometimes you're going to have to like reach your little fingers in there and pull it out. Sometimes it'll come out like a big wad and you just have to find the end of it. It's not a big deal. It pre-selects your yarn for you. And if you're wondering, this is what they call a skein. Don't ask me to spell it, but it's a skein of yarn. So if you're ever watching videos and they say that, that's what they're referring to. And this is your crochet hook. Now they have different kinds. I think I already put my other ones up, but they also have these. These are kind of neat. And if you can see, it says what the millimeter is here, and this lighting is not that great, but sometimes this is like my backup. Honestly, what I use this one for is this little bitty hook right here, and I use it for like when I have lace tops or something and I need to hide the string because I don't want to cut it because I don't know how it's attached, because I don't do lace. That's intimidating, but I just use that little hook to hook it back through. I don't really use this one a whole lot. Somebody gave it to me as a gift, but it looks like it has, it's just hard to read too. It's neat. I think that might be an H hook. I'm not sure. But when the H is usually the standard, and then the lower the letter goes, like B, C. I don't know if they have an A hook, to be honest. That has to be almost nothing though. But they are like really teeny tiny. And then what you get, H is like your happy medium. And then see, like this hook, this is a D hook. And if you look, it says 3.125 millimeters. This is a D hook. It's tiny. Like if you compare these two, even though they're both great, they're not the same hook. See how much smaller that is than the other one? But remember, the smaller the hook size, the tighter looking your stitches are going to be. So that could be handy if, like, you're saying you're doing like a washcloth where you don't want those big holes showing. I like them. I don't mind that as much anymore. I feel like for a blanket, when you have those holes in the blanket, the crochet blanket, it actually lets you breathe. But let's start out. You can tell I've already ripped my stitches. That's where you do a chain or you do a row and you've done something wrong and you pull it out to where you want to start over again. That's probably, I don't know how to go back in without ripping my work to fix something I've done wrong. Sometimes you can skip over it and you can fix it a little bit on the second row by like adding a stitch if you miscounted or something like that. But so you can see it's gotten a little bit frayed at the end. So what you do is you take the tail. We're going to do a slip stitch so we can get started. You're going to take the tail, you're going to wrap it around, and you see what I did there? There's an X. So take the tail, go over the working yarn, pull up that working yarn, pull it down some. And how you know you did it right is if when you pull the working yarn, if it tightens up. To some degree, yes, you can tighten it up with the tail, but you really want to make sure that's tightening up with the main working yarn. This is your working yarn. It goes directly to the skein, it's still attached. This is your tail. These are what you usually cut out or sew in at the end of your projects. So let's get started. So this is how I hold it. You can hold however way it makes you comfortable. There's a million ways to do it. This is my way. So what I do is to keep it straight, I usually like to hold this little knot here where I did my slip stitch. Go over, pull through. Go under, pull through. Now you see that I'm turning the hook so that when I go through the loop, it's facing down. Hope that's slow enough for you. So each one of those V's that you see, that's a stitch. So this right here, that little, and that's the reason why I wanted to get as tight as I could. This right here is not a stitch. If it's not a V, it's not a stitch. So we got 1, 2, 3. We have 3. What's on your hook does not count as a stitch. So we have 3 so far. Let's do 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, slowing down for you, 10. All right, so we have 10. So let's look at what I'm doing here. So they don't look exact. One, the yarn's a little bit frayed. That's just what you're going to get with a cheaper yarn. This is not the cheapest, but it's not like one of the bougie ones. They're really like luxurious and soft. Some of those split too, so don't let them fool you. But you see how we have that? Now I've got this kind of loose. This looks kind of ugly right now, but once we get that first row, it's not going to be noticeable. I have it loose enough to where I can almost see through those stitches. All right, so we got 10, so we need to do 10 more. So I'm tightening it up on my hook. just by pulling the working yarn. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, now we have 20. So we started here. Here's our little knot from the slip stitch, and we ended here. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip it. And now we're going to go back across. So I'm going to do a chain 1. This does not count as a stitch for the chain itself. That doesn't count. So what you do is you chain 1, and we're going to do a single crochet. And then we are going to go into, you see this looks like, remember, that's the one we just made. Your hook does not count as one. So this is the chain that we just made. If it'll focus. All right. Maybe if I bring the camera down a little bit more. All right. Bear with me while my camera probably shakes. All right. So this is the one we just made, the chain 1. And then we are going to go into the next one. Did you see how I did that? You skip 1 and go into the next. You're going to take your working yarn, do what we did before to make the chain. So now you have 2 loops on your crochet hook. You're going to ta-da! And that is your first single crochet. So you can see I'm like used to doing the double crochets because I wanted to yarn over again. So you go to your next one, you yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the 2. See how I'm doing that? So make sure you're going through these, through the stitches. Oh, I did it again. Sorry, my bad. I yarned over. It's because I'll show you how to do a double crochet. But I really don't do a whole lot of single crochets, so it's just muscle memory to yarn over and then go through, because that's how you do the double crochet. So you only have the one loop. You go through, you yarn over, pull through. Now you have 2 loops, yarn over, pull through again. Don't yarn over because that's not the stitch we're doing. We're doing a single crochet. Now, if you notice, I'll show you at the end. Sorry, muscle memory. All right, so, and that's really how you learn crochet. It's just teaching yourself muscle memory, and that's how you're going to get your stitches consistent. So let's show 1. Let's show 2 more. So go through the stitch, yarn over, pull through. You're going to yarn over again, pull through. Now we're going to straighten this out. All right. So let's see this again. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through, and those are your single crochets. See how that looks? Honestly, if you notice, like in this one, when I do it, it is a little bit looser down at the bottom. I'd rather it be that way because I can fix that look by, once the project is complete, just going around and making a border. Usually you want to do a border of at least like single crochet, sometimes double crochets, just depending on what kind of fabric you do. So let's go ahead and get this finished. There we go. Yarn over, pull through, go to the next stitch. Now, in case you're wondering, you see that chain? Why won't you focus? Okay, you see this chain? You see that? If it will focus. Okay, you see that? That's where you're going through. So this looks like it's a big hole. It's not going to be. So you go through that. That's where you're going through. Not this big hole, because then you'll be doing 2 stitches in one. You're not doing that. So you're going through, yarn over, pull through, and then continue down. I'm just wanting to make sure you know where to put, because that's the hardest thing. For some reason, that's the hardest thing that it was for me to learn, is where to put my hook through. You see how that yarn's kind of split in? That's what you're just gonna, when it's a cheaper yarn. But I like Red Heart because it's nice. You just have to work with it. So remember, we're not going through this because that's the one we already did. It's the next one over. So you go through, yarn over, pull through. But once you have a project completed, you're not going to notice any of that. Be honest. Like if you get like a super soft, you might have issues with the yarn splitting. Most of the time it's not an issue. See what I'm doing? Going through that. Yarn over. Yarn over. We have our 2 loops. Pull through. And then again. The hook through. Yarn over. Pull through. 2 loops. And then pull through. So this is what I learned first, was the single crochet. The person who taught me didn't teach me the double crochet, but I wasn't around them for very much longer after I learned this. So after that, I went to YouTube, and that's where we're at now. And this is YouTube. Once I learned the basics, YouTube taught me the rest. Books taught me the rest. Red Heart patterns, you can get free ones, and they taught me as well. And if they had a stitch in there, I would just look up on YouTube how to do a double crochet, how to do a treble crochet. And those are US terms. UK, like, they call the single crochet a double. They call the double crochet a triple. It's a little weird. I don't know why they're not more consistent like around the world, but you know, I feel like US has to complicate things and make things different. But so you go through that. I'm sorry my camera is not focusing very well. So you have the 2 loops, and that's why the UK calls it a double, because you have 2 loops. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both loops. So remember, okay, so we're on our last stitch. I almost did what I told you not to do. Yarn over, pull through, you have your 2, and pull through, and this is the end. This is not a stitch. Do not try to force a stitch through there. So let's see. So we did a chain of 20, and then we chained 1, and then we went into the second stitch. So how you're going to count these, here, let me make a loop so I can take that out instead of trying to hold it. So if you look at the top, we're going to figure this out, friends. So if you look at the top, you'll see the V's that are on top. So you have 1, 2, oh, come on camera, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So even though we added a chain at the end because we skipped one and then started, you still have 20. You still have the 20 here. And there's going to be times where you add more chains than that, but those are for different stitches. For the chain one, I use that for the single, and it kind of, we'll get to that. So we have our very first row of single crochet. So we're going to turn our work. We're going to put our hook back in. If you pulled yours out when I did, just pull the working yarn and I'll tighten that up for you. And we will do, oh God, don't pull it out. I mean, it'll be fine though. So we're going to do chain one. And I'm trying to do a double crochet again. And then we're going to go through here. See? Now this one is easier because you're going through two. Now you'll have some patterns that will ask you to just go through the back loop. I don't like how it looks. They like how it looks. I personally do not. We'll do a row and I'll show you what that difference is, but let's just go ahead and finish row 2. So, and this is where it gets easier because you don't have to count. You don't have to make sure that you had them all because you got them right the first time. So this is going through both. We're going through all of the V. That's probably stupid terminology on my part, but you understand what I'm saying. We're going through both loops on the stitch, on this row. And we're just going to go across. I might speed this up for you so that you can see it, but let's just go ahead and finish. Remember, we're going through both those hooks. We're going through both those loops of the stitch of the single crochet. We're going through both of those. We're going yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and see. We're just pulling some more yarn out. You don't want the yarn from the skein to cause you to tighten up, because that's where you're gonna, as soon as you feel a little tug, you need to pull some more yarn out so that you can stay consistent with your stitches. So I don't have the best as far as holding the yarn in the working yarn. I cross over a lot. You may have issues with that. I would advise to look up other videos on how to hold the yarn in order to crochet to see what works best for you. Now, if you are not doing that crossover that I'm doing, you see where I'm crossing over? I'm holding the yarn with this hand. I put the hook through. That's adding a little bit of time to your crochet. I've been doing it for so long, it doesn't even matter. I still am pretty fast going through at my normal speed. This is the severely slowed down speed to make sure you can see it, even though my camera is not focusing. But anyways, enough about that. It's kind of like when they used to say that if you don't type properly, you type too slow. But then they did research, and the people who were hunting and pecking at the keyboard, actually, because they'd been doing it for so long, were actually just as fast as the people who we're able to type without looking at the keyboard. So that's, people are going to say you're wrong in how you hold it. It's what's comfortable for you. It's what makes your stitches consistent, because that's what you want. Find what works for you. This is what works for me. All right, so we're to the second to the last. We did it. So I want to show you here. All right. See how it's kind of curved over? This is your stitch. There's no more stitches left. You're going to go through, because that was our chain 1, if you remember. So you just go through, and this is our last stitch. Pull through. And then that's what the end's starting to look at. You see how it's straightening out? And if you want to make sure, just go back and count your stitches. You see where the V's are? Those are your stitches. That is not a stitch right here. That's not a stitch. That's your chain 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yep, I got all my stitches. Because remember, what's on your hook is not a stitch. Do not count that. It's so important. Don't count that. All right, so we have done 2 rows of single crochet. So now I'm going to show you a double crochet. So what we're going to do is we're on chain 2. Chain 2 counts as a crochet, as a double crochet. It counts as a stitch. So chain 2, 1, 2. This is where it's a little bit different. And then we're going to here, get that mess out of the way so you're not focused on that. So you turn your work around. You're going to yarn over. That's what I was doing the entire time. So yarn over, skip 1, go to your next. Don't forget to skip 1. You're going to yarn over. Now this one is a double crochet. You're going to have 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. That's why UK calls it triple. But double is you're going to go through 2. You're going to yarn over again and go through 2. So it kind of looks weird on the first row you do. That's how you always do. So yarn over, go through, yarn over. We have our 3. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 more till we're done. So yarn over, go to your next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and complete. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then you only have the 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the last 2. So again, yarn over, go into your next stitch, the one right after, don't skip any, go through the next stitch, yarn over, you're going to yarn over again, pull through, we have the 2 loops left, yarn over, pull through 2. So there we go. All right. So again, yarn over, go into your next stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is your double crochet. I don't know if you're gonna like this. I feel like it's probably why I don't teach too many people how to crochet, because I feel like I'm confusing them a little bit. But you can just listen to this on mute, maybe you'll understand what I'm doing. All right, pull through 2, pull through 2. We'll go to our next stitch. I'm going through both of the stitch. When they say back loop only, let me move that. When they say back loop only, they're talking about only going through this one right here. So you would split it. I don't know, I'm just not comfortable with doing that. I don't like it. A lot of times, even if it calls for it in the pattern, I don't do it. But it does add, oh, I forgot to yarn over. So I only had 2 loops on there. So yarn over, go through both, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, yarn over. All right. So this is our last stitch. Don't let this confuse you. I want you to look at it closely. This is your last stitch. This is not. This is your chain. Your chain 1. So go through this. We've already yarn over again. Pull through 2, pull through 2. And then, sorry, can't see what I'm doing. And just to make sure, if we ever think we may have like dropped a stitch, or maybe that last one is a stitch, remember in this counts, the chain 2 counts as a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. It's actually easier to count the double crochet because you can see the bars. So anyways, so the chain 2 counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we know we did it right. Make sure you don't. Okay, so we're going to do another row. So 1, 2. Remember that counts as a double crochet. We're going to turn our work. So now that we're going in the other direction. So on this one, I am going to show you what it looks like to only go through that. So remember, we're skipping 1. We're going to the next. So we're going to do back loop only. So we're not going through both of the stitches of the V. So yarn over, got 3, yarn over, 1, 2, yarn over. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't appreciate how it looks. Some people like that, each to their own. Now, you see what almost happened there? I almost split the yarn. So just back yourself out of it if you're able to, and then try again. So yarn over. We're just doing the back loop. Yarn over. Yarn over, just the back loop. So we're not, instead of going through both, you're going through just the back loop. Yarn over, back loop, yarn over, pull through, 2, 2. And then I'm just pulling some more yarn out. Alright, so we've already yarned over. We're going to go through that back loop. Okay, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over. We're doing back loop only. back loop only. Back loop only. Okay. So, do you see what the difference is of using back loop only? You see it kind of creates this ledge thing going on. I don't care for it. And then if you look on the back, it's not. So, well, it is. You can see where this dips down. So that's the reason why some people call for it in patterns, is because they want that effect. Or some people just automatically do it. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not a back loop person. But I just want to make sure you know how to do it if it calls for it in a pattern. And then, there we go. So it looks like there's going to be like a big gap. You see that? You see that hole? Oh no. No, it's fine. Yarn over. Back loop only. Alright. Alright. So we get pulling to the end. Now this is a little bit different than the other one, because what you're going to do, you're going to do your normal yarn over, but remember that chain 2, it counts as a stitch. You're going to go into that second chain. So we chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to go in there. You're going to go through the whole chain. You're not going to try to do no back loop. Just do your normal and go through. I still went through the wrong one. Okay, anyways. Doesn't matter. Usually I can only grab one anyways. So one. Okay, and see, it's a straight line. But it leaves those. This is why it's important to do, like, once you finish your project, at least do one, like a border of at least single crochets, just so you don't have that. And let's make sure. Did we do it correctly? Did you do it correctly? Let's check. So, remember, chain 2 counts as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You did it correctly. You have the 20. So you see the difference between just your normal double crochet. You see where we went into the singles? It's very flat. I like that look. And if you look on the other side of it, this is the wrong side. Now, how do I know this is the wrong side? Because the tail is on my left. If the tail is on your right, this is considered the right side. You're going to run across patterns that say, you know, end on the right side, you know, end on the wrong side, or, and that's how you know. So I know this is the right side because guess what? My tail is on the right. Okay, it's stupid, but that's how I remembered it. It's the same way how I figured out, like, when I was a kid, like, my left from my right, because I wore a watch, and I was like, I wear a watch on my left hand because I write with my right hand, or I would just say write with my right hand. Okay, it just helped me. So if the tail, where's it? Oh, we're on the wrong side. Oh no, flip it over. Okay, so we're going to have to do it anyways because we're going to do another row. So this is what it's looking like so far. I'm not doing any pattern. If it ends up similar to one, it's by coincidence. So we have our chain. You see how it kind of, on mine, kind of looks a little weird. It's okay, because once you do a border, you're not going to see it anyways. So we did 2 rows of single crochet. Here's that first row. Here's the second row. Here is our first row of double crochet, and this is our second row of double crochet, but this row we only did back loop only. I may do another row of back loop just so you can see what that effect kind of looks like. Sometimes you can't really tell what it's going to look like until it's been, you know, you do at least 3 or 4 rows. So let's go back. We're on the wrong side now, because remember, the tail is on the left. If it was the right side, it would be on the right. Stupid stuff that just helps me keep things straight. All right, so we're going to put our hook back through. I'm going to hold my work and pull my yarn just to tighten it up. And I'm going to tighten it up a little bit more too. So remember, double crochet, we're going to pull 1, 2, yarn over. We're going to skip this one and go into the next. Do you see that? We're skipping this one and going into this one. And that is going to keep our stitch count correct. So we have 3, so we know we did it correct. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm sorry if you hear me sniffing. It's the trees. The trees are trying to kill us right now. We are in spring, and all the pollen is just nasty right now. Doesn't help. I'm in Tennessee. All right, there we go. Yeah, I don't know like what type of trees we have because I'm not that smart, but whatever they are, they hate me. But I guess if they didn't have pollen, we wouldn't have more trees. So I suffer for at least 5 months out of the year between fall and spring. I do okay during the summer though. It's a tree pollen that hates me. Okay, so you remember what I said that we were going to do another row of back loop? I messed up. I was going through both loops because that's what I am used to doing. So if you run across that, I want you to pull your hook out. You're going to grab your working yarn, and I would do this slowly just to make sure you go back as far as you want to go back, because we don't have to pull out the chain 2. So once we get to the chain 2, see, I'm going to go ahead and stick my hook back in like that. We're going to start over. So yarn over, we're skipping this one and going into this back loop because our chain 2 counts as a stitch. So now we're doing it right. So that's what they call ripping or frogging, I guess, because ribbit. That's the only thing I can think of. Nobody else has explained that to me, but that's just my own theory. So we're just working the back loops. I don't know if red was a good color to show you on. I wanted to use the white, but I think I'll have to like put a towel down or something. So because my desk is white. So we're just working the back stitches. All right, now I'm going to go all the way across because you know how to do it by now. We're just going through that back stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, back stitch only, pull through 2, pull through 2. All right, let me just go ahead and get this through. We'll fast forward this part. Alright, so we've come to the end. We're on the last stitch. But remember, we still have to do another double crochet in the chain. So 1, 2. So what I do, because sometimes I do my chains kind of tight. And you might too. Maybe you're perfect. I don't know. But you go through this. I use my little hook. And I push it through. See, we're through. Alright. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You see how that's coming? We have a nice straight edge. If you think you may have dropped a stitch, go back and count. So let's look at this now that we've done the back loop again. So you see what that effect is causing? It's causing that weird little shelf thing to happen. And you see this is kind of doing the dip because this is the right side. So you've created this essentially where it's, and I think, you know, it probably would be really nice for a striped blanket or a striped scarf. Like we can make this into a scarf once we're done, our little sampler. I would advise to, when you're first starting out, when you're first doing that chain, you're going to rip it out a lot. Just get it where it looks consistent enough. And the same with the rest of them. You're going to have to practice. Me personally, I think it took me 8 hours to get my stitches consistent. But when I taught my nephew, he had it down in 20 minutes. So if it takes you longer, don't worry. Sometimes it takes people longer. If it doesn't take you long at all, great. You're rocking it. You're probably really great at it. Or get bored with it. Who knows? So remember, we're on the wrong side because that's where the tail is. Right side, we have this little divot. Like I said, would look, it's kind of like I think it kind of looks like a ribbon effect almost. But if you want to see what it's doing. So that's back loop only for the double crochets. We did this row of crochet was through both. This was the first one that was back loop only, and this is the second one that's back loop only, because we're constantly turning our work. The back loop is never the same. All right. Alright, so I'm going to end this video here, but what I want you to work on is let's repeat what we've already done. Let's do 2 rows of single crochet, and then we did 3 rows of double crochet. So let's see what that's going to look like. So we're putting our hook back through. Now, when you sit this project down and you don't work on it for a while, what I do is I actually leave my hook in, and I tighten it up because I can loosen this up. See, loosen, tighten. But when you sit it down, either if you keep that in there, just tighten it up so it doesn't fall, and then you can like set it in your bag or whatnot. Sometimes it'll fall out. It's okay. Just, you might have to redo a stitch. It's not a big deal. Or just make a big loop, and then you can put your work in a bag. So let's see how we do. So next project we're gonna do, well, the next work. Let's go ahead and do 2 rows, 2 of the single crochet. Remember how we did that? I'm going to show you one more time, just in case you forgot, or you can just rewind this and find out. But it is a little bit different when it's thing. So remember, we chain 1, turn our work. We don't, and then we skip this stitch, go into the next. You're always skipping that one. Chain over, pull through two. See how we did that? Now, until you get all the way through and you're starting back, it's gonna look a little funny right there. It's fine, but that's why you always do a border around whatever work you're doing, whether it's just going around it with slip stitches, and I'll show you how to do that, or going around with a single crochet, or sometimes people have it like elaborate borders, so it's just whatever you want to do. So again, let's show you that single crochet, and you can always reverse this too, so don't yarn over, which is what I was trying to do. Okay, so we have our hoop. It's a loop, not a hoop, but whatever. Okay, so we have our loop. We're going to go into the next one. We're going to go through both, yarn over, pull through two, pull through one, and then yarn over and pull through two. Sometimes you just have to watch what I'm doing and forget what I say. Go through both of them. Yarn over, two loops. Alright, and that's what it's looking like so far. And so we're gonna do two loops. Oh, sorry. Two rows of single crochet. So you're going to go one way, which we're on the right side, so we're going to go this way, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to do, we did 3 rows, so we're going to do 3 rows of double crochet. So it's going to start on this end, your first row. You're going to go over, over, over. Got it? All right, and we will see you next time. Bye, friends.